Hello guys, this is Keyboard Warrior, and I'm going to be showing you today Melodic Dubstep or Chillstep, whatever you want to call it. So I'm just going to go ahead and tear down this whole thing and show you all the processing I have going on. So first what I have is just a drum kit. It sounds like this. So first I have the wide kick, which I have EQ'd like this. It's just a sample from FL Studio originally. And I've compressed it as well. And I have this kick on top of it. Slight EQ curve. Some parallel compression. And a low pass. Here I have a hi-hat sample that I have high-passed with a reverb on it that triggers whenever the kick triggers. A snare, which is compressed and limited slightly. And then there's also a reverb on it over here. And I'm using Valhalla for this. I also have a clap, which is heavily bathed in reverb, which is another Valhalla plug over here on the send. I have a hi-hat over here. It's EQ'd like this. It's heavily compressed to give it a softer feel. And then I also have this blur plugin for Bitwig. And basically it's like a really short delay. Kind of like a chorus effect. You can hear the difference. I have an open hi-hat. Also been heavily compressed with the same effects. Toms, which I'm not actually using right now. A ride, which I have EQ'd like this. And the blur effect on this as well. A tambourine, which is compressed and EQ'd. And together you get this as a result. I also have this going on in the background, which are just some clap samples that are EQ'd and have a small reverb on them. Next I have the main bus. So first I have the sub layer, which has a massive preset on it. It's not really a preset, it's just a sine wave that's played really low, with a little bit of a release and a slow attack. And I EQ'd most of the high end off of there. And I have this bass here. Which uses the pulse wave modulation wavetable. And groan. And then there's just the LFO that is applied to it, a slow one, kind of giving it some change. Because if it didn't have any change to it, it would sound really boring. And I also have a chorus ensemble effect on there. And that's it for the massive preset. I'm also using OTT, which is a multi-band compressor. You can get it for free. It's kind of nice. And I'm putting it into this chain plugin for Bitwig, And basically it just gives me a wet dry knob. So if I want to, I can use it kind of like in parallel is really what it is. So I have some of the fully compressed signal and then also the dry signal. Then I'm using Trash 2. The free dimension expander, which is made by the same people that did OTT, just Xfer, transfer, I'm not sure how you say it. Then using WoW 2 by Sugar Bytes. And then some very heavy EQ. So you can hear the difference if I turn all these off. You can see what I started with. So I add a lot and then subtract away in the end. Actually, the strings. Just some saw oscillators, and then I have them slightly detuned. And that's really all it is. This is what the amp envelope looks like. Added a little bit of white noise. And some clip distortion here. Some tube distortion, the dimension expander, and I also EQ'd just a little bit. You can pause and copy that if you want. Then I also have some multi-band effects going on here. I have a stereo tool on the high end. Just to give it some width. Then I EQ'd it to go into the mix. Added a reverb after. And then I also compressed. Not using the big pad right now. This guy kind of just helps glue everything together. So there's an arpeggiator. And I'm using Monarch from Reactor. And I started from a preset and then changed it. Then EQ'd. And then added some reverb. Another arpeggiator. And this is just a massive preset that I made. It's really simple. All it is a sine wave. It uses an envelope to change the pitch. And then that's really all it is. It's pretty straightforward. And then I EQ'd it. It sounded like this at first. EQ'd. Pancake to have it auto pan from left to right. And then a reverb to kind of stick it in the back. This guy's a preset from Prism. I guess it's called Fallout Lead. I think I made some slight changes, but nothing too significant. And then I compressed the mid-range a bit, because I felt like it was getting a little too crazy at times. Then I used an EQ on it here. And this is where I did something a little interesting. So, these two, there's a lead here, and they were colliding a bit. So what I did is I used a compressor here to sidechain from this lead, so that way whenever this stopped, this could come through. And they, basically, the piano here, or synth piano, whatever you want to call it, will actually win always. And this one sounds like this. So I'm using the signal from this track right here, the piano, to lower the volume of this track here in the back. So this guy, I believe, is a preset I got from somewhere. I can't remember. I didn't make it. And I don't think it comes with Massive. I think, I don't think so. I could be wrong. I don't remember. I have so many presets. So, and I didn't really change anything. I think I liked the way it sounded. I think I just turned the reverb off, and then I put my own reverb on it. Yeah. And I'm using WoW again for this, to beef it up with a little bit of distortion and put a filter on it. And I pretty heavily EQ'd that guy, and then put a delay on it. So that's that. And then just some white noise. You want this tucked pretty back, you don't want to overdo it, but it's just enough to give a little bit of high end to the whole thing. And I think that's it. These guys are just reverbs that I use. I went through a couple of them, but I'm using either the default, or not the default, the stock reverb, or Valhalla for all of these. And the only ones I didn't go over, I think, are the hi-hat reverbs. Sorry, I'm going backwards a little bit here, but I'll show it to you just so you have seen it. So both of these are going. I'm sending a little more of the open hi-hat, but both of the hi-hats are going to this guy right here. So, now that we got all that, you can hear everything together. Obviously, it sounds a little too crazy, and dubstep always has that pump, so we're going to add a little bit of side chaining right here. So I have two compressors going here. I have one that's coming from the kick drum, and then one coming from the snare. And I have the snare compressing a little bit less than the kick. Just to get everything to sound nice and glued together. On the master channel, I did like a really quick master. Nothing too serious, just for this video. But just to clean it up a little bit. Some really light compression. Some light EQ. And the furthest I go down is 2 dB at one point, so you don't want it to be too crazy. If something sounds really that off, that you'd go more than like 5 dB, you'd probably just want to check the mix and make sure that everything in the mix sounds good. And then I have the stereo widener. It's the isotope one here. And then the Pro Limiter by Fab Filter. And I'm pushing it pretty hard. The snare tends to clip it a little bit. It's not a perfect mix, but it does its job for now. So yeah, that's my breakdown of this. Hopefully it helped you guys, and I'll see you guys next time.